Good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to this second session in uh, this afternoon's proceedings of the conference. As part of this session, we'll be now having a panel discussion on quantum cryptography, various aspects of quantum cryptography, including the PQC, which we have heard a couple of papers also on this subject today. To chair this panel discussion today, we have Professor Veni Madhavan from IISc Bangalore. So I'm honored to have him on the stage, please. Professor Veni Madhavan obtained his academic degrees BE Electrical Engineering from College of Engineering Madras, ME in Control Systems from BITS Pilani, and PhD from Indian Institute of Science in 1975. He worked in the industry, Air India, National Informatics Center, before joining the Computer Science and Automation Department of IISc in 1983. He was the chairman of CSA department during 1998 to 2000. He was invited to head the DRDO laboratory, SAG, in New Delhi during 2000 to 2003. His current research areas of interest are computational linguistics and pragmatic cryptanalysis. He continues to work in IISc on three different R&D projects in the areas of cryptography and natural language processing, and on several technical advisory tasks spanning government policy and academic and research mentorship. We welcome you, sir. May I now request the other panelists also to kindly occupy the dais. Dr. Tapas Pandit from IISc Bangalore. Dr. Tapas Pandit received his PhD degree in computer science from ISI Kolkata in 2017. Before that, he obtained his MSc degree in mathematics from Calcutta University and his MTech degree in computer science from ISI Kolkata. From 2017 to 19, he worked as a postdoc fellow at IISc Bangalore. So his research interests include public key cryptography, predicate-based cryptography, quantum computation, and post-quantum cryptography. Currently, he is working as a specialist scientist at IISc Bangalore. We welcome you, sir. May I now request Dr. R. Srikanth from Purna Pragna Institute of Scientific Research, Bangalore, to kindly occupy the dais. After obtaining his PhD from IISc Bangalore, Dr. R. Srikanth worked as a postdoctoral scholar at the then Center for Theoretical Studies at IISc, and then at Light and Matter Physics group in RRI Bangalore. He joined PPISR as a faculty fellow in 2006, becoming an assistant professor in 2010. He has guided multiple PhD students in the fields of quantum cryptography, quantum noise, and quantum foundations, and he has co-authored over 70 research papers. He is also a consultant for 2 quantum technology startups. Welcome you, sir. I now welcome Mr. Animesh Aryan, who is the CEO at TACBit Labs Private Limited, Bangalore. So Mr. Animesh would like to call himself as a physicist who loves to learn and is passionate to innovate. He has worked on building the first quantum source of light in India. It is one of the most exciting projects that he has done, and the work done on this project laid the foundation of TACBit startup. So the applications for this work are in the quantum cryptography and quantum computing. Welcome you, Mr. Animesh. So apart from these panelists who are physically present here, we also have 2 of the panelists who are joining online. Dr. Debapriya Basu Roy from IIT Kanpur. He did his PhD under Professor Devdeep Mukhopadhyay from IIT Kharagpur, and did his postdoctoral fellowship at Technical University of Munich under Professor George Segal. His research interests include applied cryptography, hardware security, post-quantum cryptography. He's an expertise on developing hardware accelerators for cryptography and side channel analysis. He is currently working as an assistant professor at IIT Kanpur. We welcome you, sir, Devapriya Basu Roy, sir. We also have Mr. Prasun Srivatsava, who is the APAC head at Thales, who is also joining online for today's panel discussion. Mr. Prasun Srivatsava is a senior solution architect for India and the SAARC region for Gemalto's identity and data protection business, where he is responsible for delivering turnkey solutions, mentoring partner and channel networks, and monitoring of technical operations in the India and the SAARC region. Mr. Srivastava has 15 years of experience in the IT industry. He was the solution expert of BFSI market for SafeNet in India and SAARC, responsible for delivering business data security solutions throughout the SARC region for the VFSI and payments market. Prasoon holds a Bachelor of Engineering from Vishweshwarya Technological University. He is an enthusiastic public speaker, presenting his technology expertise at multiple platforms in India and globally. We welcome you all, sir. May I now request Professor Veni Madhavan to take over from here. Sir.
Okay. Nice to be here and nice to be with lots of friends, starting with Prof. Shamsundar, Binduvado, Patil, many Sudarshan from CDAC, and lots of people from CDAC and our generally the Bangalore community. We will try to see in an hour some pros and cons and issues and perspectives about this quantum business. Okay. Actually, really quantum business, because it is quantum hype, quantum computing, quantum crypto, quantum communication, quantum everything, quantum governance, and so on and so forth. So I'm fascinated by all the things which happen, and also coming late in the day in our own field, we all have a penchant for making some predictions and things like that, and would be nice to see about your personal predictions and interests, how they go along. Anyway, so I'm very happy to say that we have all this interesting panel members today. So we will, as a format, we will try to do some 5 to 6 minutes of broad shedding light and according to our perspectives on different parts, and then leave a little more open time because I know lots of open, even very basic, sometimes maybe bordering on what people call trivial questions could be there, but doesn't matter. Let's air them and get across. Okay. So during that, maybe there will be a chance for our experts also to highlight some of the points. So obviously, the field is vast, so one is not going to give be able to give a tutorial or even a conference presentation. But broadly speaking, it is also to relate to PKI, the theme of the conference. So in order to do that, I set the tone by making some broad slides, and I had circulated and discussed with my colleagues here, very esteemed colleagues from different aspects of this thing, and also 2 other colleagues who are not here. Third colleague, Dhiman Saha, is not there. Huh? I thought earlier I saw his name, but you didn't mention it. So I had put these people's names and what I presumed are their generic interests. Okay, so they are all people. As you can see, many things are connected, but we thought this thing will be about cryptography, both what is called post-quantum and which already arrived. And of course, cryptography includes cryptanalysis, and so you can see there's some subtle distinctions appear there. But that's not all. Communication is an integral part of this quantum game with respect to information security. Okay. So I try to put quantum, cryptography, communication, 2 C's, and then of course, you know, this big business of computing. Obviously, it's outside the purview of, I think there's no time also. But on the other hand, this ramifications about is that going to be there for energizing cryptography and cryptanalysis, or or the quantum communication seems to have arrived much earlier. So there is this thing about hype and in this game. Quantum computing itself came hyped up because of crypto, but I think my perspective is that it's in the background and of course interest to only few people. I'm talking about now what quantum computing can do to classical crypto in cracking them apart and all that. I mean, that's the hype. Of course, that's a beautiful theory. It's not a theoretical hype, it's a practice. But if the quantum computing comes, what happens? So new crypto, and anyway, new crypto was, its time was there already, particularly public cryptography. So we'll have Tapas speak about it. So there's some order. I'll just give some perspective on overall. Then Tapas will speak something about the quantum crypto and the timeline, what's going on. including some communication. And then we have two colleagues from physics and communication, very interesting, where I think things have arrived, native talent plus overseas. There are lots of clientele for this subject matter, particularly the key generation, key distribution, etc. So Srikanth and, no, I think we agreed Animesh first and then Srikanth next in that order. It gets more specialized. Then, yes, Devapriya is to deal with hardware, implementations, side channels, everything for the post-quantum classical ideas-based cryptography. Okay. So that's the technology part of it which will come in. And then Prasoon Srivastav will be some kind of a buffer with the end user and so on. So he will tell us about information security issues. So with all that thing, that's a broad idea. So obviously, there are many tracks. I just highlight, these are bullet point slides. So all the connections are appearing here. Communication, computing, cryptography. But of course, there's a whole lot of excitement in different fields. That's the best thing about quantum, in my opinion. It's bringing together, first time I'm seeing, physics, electrical engineering, computer science, mathematics, at least this many, and then many other people together to facilitate the whole game. Okay. So, but then, there's this great game of, new games of material science itself advancing, and because of that, sensing and many other applications of this quantum computing initiative. Okay. So all this will drive the future next 10, 20 years. So in my opinion, we may not even see an equivalent of a exaflop contemporary Turing machine-based von Neumann architecture machine, which runs in the US, equivalent power, equivalent problem-solving ability across the field. It's not going to be there at 20 years. Neat. But then a whole lot of excitement in the physics and particularly the physics community and electrical engineering community and electrical communication engineering community, who will probably build the machines, okay, which are getting built. We read about it all the time. Every day some news or the other comes from many things. So there's a whole lot of material on that, about the computer. And then of course on the communication front, from pseudo to true to in between quantum RNGs and KGs, key generators, and then the distribution. There is a lot of excitement because they are going to solve many practical issues with the realization of cryptography for information security systems. Okay. So there's a lot of happening things there. There's some physics and some electrical engineering more, and electronics and communication, including coding theory and so on. So the trends, I call them the T's, actually those will be the final drivers. Science technology, of course, which we'll talk about, but it's always the case that do you have USPs, use cases for things? That's the first question business and commerce and trade ask for, and we just had some thought sharing on that. There are this machine learning communities which always are on the wings. They promise much more things. So probably the quantum will do some wonders there. In particular, optimization and search methods are going to change with the revival of certain types of, I would call classical mathematical ideas embedded into the very natural quantum state-based machines. Like, for example, quantum tunneling is something which is interesting counterpart to quantum annealing. And annealing has been a kind of a mechanism used in certain kinds of optimization heuristics, all the gradient methods, which are the core of machine learning methodologies and realizations. So you might have a quantum machine learning app in your mobile phone earlier than a quantum breaking app on a mobile phone. Of course, certain classical, I call the post-quantum crypto algorithm, which are nothing to do with quantum. Okay, they are classical mathematical ideas in their new avatars. Okay, that will be there on our mobile phones and so on. So some things you will hear about. Now, rest of it, I'll just skip all of these things. I've been doing some surveys and catching up on this and trying to wonder where things are going to happen. for a non-specialist physicist person, a pure computer science and math person. But something like photonics is going to pave the way, apparently some gainer. Certainly for communication, yes, you'll hear a lot more about it, but even computing, photonic devices which chips and switches and so on. So this is the way towards scalable, lots of things about scalability, what you might call fragility preserving. They're very fragile. You need to control a lot of things. So the control of this very sensitive quantum state-based computing devices is going to be a new game, and there are a lot of material and newer forms of this. Now, in this front, just one word I wanted to say. I'm particularly interested only in cryptanalysis today. How we can break things, really break, from theoretical to practical, of course. This is a typical illustration of the, just chatting with people here. My belief is that RSA, okay, let me put some conjectured beliefs. If you scale up today's public key, private key to about 16 to 32 kilobits, okay, we use 2048, 2 kilobit. 16 to 32, it will be phenomenally expensive and probably unrealistic to be able to see any one of those quantum state-based machines. There are 3-4 quantum state properties which are being exploited: the ion traps and superconducting qubits and photonics and nitrogen vacancies and a variety of things. But essentially, any machine which is going to come to be able to do for a 2048, there's an excellent set of papers in the last 4 or 5 years, 3n odd n. N is the number of bits. It's exponential, sub-exponential in the classical breaking. If n is the size of the key, it's sub-exponential in n. It's the current day way of breaking, which I've also been doing for quite some time. But linear, 3n. So it's about 7,000. But this is nothing. This is what is called as a logical from Shor's algorithm. But more important is the number of gates which are required to be architected. It becomes cubic, okay? And circuit depths and all that thing. But more important is to be able to do coherent computing without losing the coherence and so on. So with all these caveats, it's going to be quite hard if you simply scale up current day keys. But then again, I speak from the other side. You don't want to simply scale up the current day keys and preserve the old classical. You go for new crypto, so which are invulnerable to the Shor type of mathematical attacks and practical. So there are lots of this stuff about what happens in post-quantum crypto. You will hear from Tapas. But essentially, the crypto world is gearing up for providing you new crypto, which are theoretically invulnerable a la Shor sense. There is something about underlying group property which does not, it's called the hidden subgroup property, which is in the classical things which suffer from. The newer algorithms do not suffer from that phenomenon. Okay, to that extent, and to some other strong theoretical conviction that there are these algorithms which are coming to the fore. So I'll stop here, and then the rest of it. This is all about investments and where we are and so on. I will not belabor that point, but essentially you got the drift of the things: computing, cryptography, communication. So this is what we'll start with today.